We're back on some qualification, some leg activity, some hamstring, some quad, some calf. And yeah, these videos are here to entertain you, not to tell you what to do. If you want someone to tell you what to do, go read the Bible and follow God's word, not me. Even this narration, I'm just here to entertain you. Whatever I say here is for entertainment purposes only. And don't take it. When to take it seriously, take it. I honestly will not care. But yeah, actually, um, the idea of I was reading this book on like some early ancient philosophers, and in the ancient view, how it came about that I feel like kinda how it came about that people regard God as kinda unchanging and constant is because the ancient people, they use the stars a lot. There's the sky, that is how they maneuvered, and it was always unchanging because the stars are usually the same. They're usually just there, they don't really change. And that is why that is heaven, heavenly bodies, the stars, heavenly bodies. And here on earth, things are just chaos. so, so heaven up there, it was considered constant, unchanging, and God's love is unconditional. No matter the condition, the stars are just there. Whether it is rainy, snowing, whatever, the stars are just the same, And that is a very interesting thought, because I was on the previous video, I was talking about how I kind of was ruminating a bit on my childhood and how conditional the love I kind of experienced was very, very conditional, from my dad, because my dad was is a very interesting guy. But it was like, as long as his ideal is met, as long as you conform, you guys are okay. But the moment you do not conform to his ideal and act in a different manner, hey, things are not so good. Does not want anything to do with you, literally. That is how I ended up here in Alaska, because I could not conform to him. And yeah, sometimes you just boot yourself. You live when you can't conform to something that something that you do not feel like you want to follow the narrative or anything. But us as human beings, we're just like that. That is how our society is built. That is how relationships are built. We only have relationships with people we agree with, or people who conform to our ideal, and that is normal. If someone does not conform to your ideal anymore, you boot yourself, you leave, and that is how it is. From I feel like this is just my experience. This is just speculation. If you have it a different way, that is fine. But I feel like it is just across the spectrum, from parents to your wife to your children to the government. Where you do not conform to the government, we all know, jail. It is very evident right now, actually, with this stories of free will and free speech and whatnot. It is becoming very uh, like clear that how conditional the relationship with a human being is, how transactional it is. It is, you give me this and I give you this, and we live in harmony. But the moment you do not play your part and you do not offer your end of the deal, like we do not want anymore. We boot you out. But that is how we are. So if you cannot really find that, uh, you might find it. You might find that unconditional love in human beings, and some people actually do have it. You know. So if you find it, if you find some unconditional love somewhere, well, that is good. You should like you should not do anything even to keep it because it is unconditional. It does not matter if you contribute or not. It is not really give any exception. So and yeah, kind of been more aware just on how people kind of treat you, you know, when you have something to offer, when you conform to the ideal, and when you do not conform to the ideal. And then it kind of shows you what kind of uh, love is being offered, you know. Because at the end of the day, action is all that matters. You might talk, but talk is just to help us integrate each other, like help us build and ideas, you know, and see if the people we are around, see if the society we are in, if we if our ideals line up, you know, and what's just to so that we can conform to a certain ideal or that we can get along. At the end of the day, action is what matters. So I'm just sharing this because I have been more aware of how people treat you when you have something to offer and when you do not have something to offer. And that really says something. So don't really rely heavily on someone's word. See how they treat you to some extent. And yeah, you will decide from there the game you're playing. So just trying to understand the game I'm playing, because understanding the game is part of the first step. So take a step, understand the game you're playing, and play the game so that you do not get confused.